Today on the show, we have Mr. Danny Matthews, founder of Danny&Co. Thank you for being on the show, Danny. How are you doing?
You're welcome, mate. Yeah, really good.
Good, man.
Really good. Back to it.
Oh, internet. Sorry, everyone. It's all good. So, Danny, tell me. First question I ask all my guests is, what's Danny&Co? What are you about? Who do you serve? All that kind of stuff.
So I'm sure we'll go into a bit about my background, but Danny&Co was started really so I could almost, I guess, force myself into working with only the people that I want to work with. So I started it to just build brands with people that I believe in. So I try and focus on, there's no specific like area or industry, but people with good ideas. I think it's hard enough to start and grow something these days that I just wanted to take those people that I could see potential in and really try and make something out of it. So some people don't actually know where their value is until they go through a branding process, if you like. So I just wanted to, if I noticed that spark in someone, I just wanted to be able to pick them up and put them through the process or the machine and to be able to create that for them and get them excited. So that was the whole reason it started. Danny&Co, the design studio, it's a design studio, but there's three kind of parts to the business, which is basically design, branding, and content. So that's us.
That's you. When did the spark searching begin? Because that's a really nice way to put it. You wanted to see someone spark and.
So actually, Danny&Co, this as it is now in its current form, we only started in, I think it was June.
Last year?
No, this year.
No, last year.
Oh, last year. Yeah. Time goes.
Time, I know.
Yeah, last year. Yeah. So we're pretty much 6-7 months in.
Yeah.
And before that, I was a designer for a year, and then before that, completely different.
I know. Well, when I met you, 3 years ago, I think it was, a bit 2-3 years ago, you had just come. I think it was when you had just come out of the mortgage game.
Yes.
I think so. You just sold up or something like that. So tell me how you've gone from doing design like years and years ago, because I know it was something you've always been passionate about.
Yeah.
Falling into the financial services industry to come out of it and now being a spark hunter.
Yeah, I mean it's a long story, but basically I always wanted to be a designer. As a kid, it was actually, I was only talking to someone today. As a kid, I wanted to move to Japan and be a character designer, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. I was always into the Japanese culture and animation and kind of what they do in the studios there. So that was kind of the dream.
How come you never made it to Japan?
Do you know I still haven't been?
You deserve to make the trip. You deserve
it. Japan comes to me these days, with the internet and stuff.
You just endless YouTube videos.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was 17, I decided that actually a good place to go was, if I wanted to be a graphic designer, was into the print industry. So I went through the Prince's Trust to start an eco-friendly print and design business. And basically it was exactly the time where the government started talking about eco-friendly, the FSC, where the paper comes from, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought I could capitalize on that. And we would look at basically using recycled paper. So design and print, and that I went through that entire process without realizing that it was a matched funding scheme. So basically, if they offered me $5,000, I had to get $5,000. I think it was $7,000 or $8,000. I had to find the same amount. And I mean, I was 17. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was like, am I going to get $7,000?
Yeah.
Like, where do you even nowadays? $7,000's like,
I'll find it.
Yeah, like if you need to find that money, you find it. But back then I was, being young and not very experienced, I was like, whoa, it was the hardest thing ever. Yeah. So it ended there. And like most people, I just ended up getting a job
Mm-hmm.
And that was in private medical insurance. So that was 12 years ago, maybe just shorter, maybe 11. But I basically got a job as an account manager for a medical insurance agent, basically. Yeah. And I loved it. Like, the industry was amazing. I learned so much. Part of it was really technical, like regulation and compliance and health questionnaires and knowing what will affect what and pricing and that kind of stuff. I did a lot of individual and group medical insurance for companies. And after a few years, I was like, I want to be like this guy, you know, nice house, nice car, beautiful family, felt like he had everything at the time. Yeah. And I kind of went on a trail of chasing cash, like love the industry,
any
make money.
Young person is really, realistically.
Yeah. And so that's where it all started. And a couple of years later, I started a group medical insurance department in a place local to me here, which is why I moved down here 10 years ago. And we built that department, and then I moved on to set up on my own. And that kind of started the process of me building a medical insurance broker, then a protection broker when we expanded, and then into mortgages. We got qualified in mortgages. And it was just something where I could see opportunity, so I wanted to grow and grow and grow. But the second I hit mortgages, I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with this industry? Like, the paperwork is horrific.
Yeah.
The process is so out of sync with real life, like the way of doing technology, the way of doing things. It just seems bizarre. There was a massive disconnect between like how we do things in every single other industry. Pretty much. And what you do, and then what you do in mortgages. I was like, this is crazy. So to give you a bit of an idea of this, I would go visit a client face to face. So that would be traveling for an hour, maybe more sometimes. And then I'd spend about an hour with the client, maybe more, and then travel back. So if we're being strict about it, it's already been over 3 hours just seeing the client. That's before you've done any research, looked at any actual mortgages, like actually tried to see if it was affordable for them. And that was before you even make an application and see if they're accepted. So if they fail the application, you got to start all over again. And this was all manual paperwork, writing reports, crazy. Anyway, so straight away, being kind of a bit of a techie and knowing my way around bits of technology, not in massive detail, not coding or anything like that, but generally things work. I thought there's got to be a better way to do this, and that's probably when I met you. When I started to put together a proof concept called Morby, and it was basically I was the first mortgage advisor to do it myself, to take the process and try and digitize it in some way. So I took a load of services, like, I mean, these services are well known now. Things like Typeform, HelloSign, these kinds of services. Zapier was really pivotal in putting it all together. And I built this kind of proof of concept, and I'd shown it to people, and I'd show it to people and say, look, people can go online, fill out this information, follow a few rules and logic, and out the other end comes something which would have took me 5 hours plus. And it worked. I remember the day that we were testing it, and then we had a client go through it, and I remember the day just sitting there looking at a screen going, oh my God, it actually worked. Like, I know I was playing around with it, but this thing works. And that was kind of the start of something big for me.
Going through that process, did that help reignite that passion you've got for the design aspect of things?
Yeah, it was. It's funny now. I couldn't see it at the time, but now I look back, I can see every job, every business, every opportunity I ever had to do something in design or create something or just be creative in some way, even in marketing, let's say, because that's also a creative field, I feel, I would take the opportunity, and which was, I think that's what creative people do. We are a bit shiny object syndrome type thing. And so that was the first time. And so, yeah, as I look back now, I used to take those opportunities every time. So even at old jobs, if they were doing like flyers or they said we need to change our letterhead, I was the first one to say like, oh, let me do it. And you probably need to make your logo a little bit better. And, I was always the volunteer for that stuff.
Yeah. You always had your finger in the pie.
Say again?
You always had your finger in the pie.
Yeah, but I never realised. I'd just go with it. So it was only when I did that was my brain saying, it's time. Like it's time now for you to do this. And that's what happened.
And now you run a design design studio. What has been over the since I last saw you, so 3 years, what has that journey been like from making that decision of going, yeah, this is the time's now, to now where, you've really carved out a really nice area for yourself in the market?
Yeah. It's been a hell of a journey, because the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is from going through a bad time, like the worst time.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what happened, and there's certain parts of this I have to leave out for legal reasons, but
story.
But basically, from doing the proof of concept mortgage, I was approached a lot by other mortgage brokers just to try and find out kind of what it was, how it was made, if it was investable, which it wasn't. It was, anyone could build it, really.
Yeah.
So what happened is I would get approached, and I'd have all kinds of conversations. I'd go to meetings just to see what the opportunity was about, and so I would do that. And then one company said, so there'd be companies who would say, "Can we invest in mortgage?" And I'd say, "No, because it's not an entity. It's just a thing."
You're just joining the dots.
Yeah, exactly. And then two people said, "Well, can you help us do it?" And I said no to one and yes to the other. And that basically started the process of 15 months of building mortgage again in a different form, for a company that wanted to tender for a government contract in London. So basically what happens is, in London, for affordable housing, if you want to go like help to buy and that kind of thing, first time buyers, you have to go through a housing agent through the government. So the government gets involved, a housing agency gets involved, and then you do the mortgage application, and there's all kinds of bits that go with it. And this company, what they wanted to do is tender for the government to win every single house and mortgage, so every single mortgage inquiry within the M25.
Yeah.
And they wanted to tender for it, but the only way that because they were only a small outfit, I think there was about 7 advisors, about 4 support staff. And because of that, they didn't have the capacity to take on that many applications. I think they were taking 100 a month, and this would see them take on about 500 a day or something ridiculous. It was huge. It would be absolutely game-changing for not only them, but the entire industry. So that the company said, "Can you build this for us?" I said yes. And over 15 months, we built the system that they would use to tender, and they won the tender. And I mean, that contract was worth over 3 billion.
Jesus.
So that's like the opportunity they had.
That is proper money.
And I'm like, I just built this thing in my bedroom. It's crazy.
You're probably at that point again. Maybe it is investable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe it was, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's the good part. The bad part of that is that I mean, I had to turn down an offer that they made to me to join the company just because throughout the process, I just saw too much, man. And I could see that it would give me enough social proof, that project, and enough experience for me to do something on my own. I just didn't know it at the time. I burnt out. I mean, I was traveling from Cirencester to London 2 to 3, maybe 4 times a week max. I was getting up at 4 a.m, getting home sometimes at like 11, 12, 1. Like it felt good at the time because like adrenaline and the kind of feedback I get from people and what people would say and the dopamine hits and all that stuff. And I would get requests to go to dinner with like important people, and I managed to get around Google, and it was insane. But by the end of it, I was so burnt out, I literally dropped to the floor in central London, like just strangers. It was proper. And actually, ever since then, I've spoken to people about it. I've got a mindset coach, and she's fantastic. And I've spoke to a number of people about it, and every single one of them said, you know, what happens through that anxiety and that breakdown, whatever happens to your body, it's trying to tell you something. And I lost all feeling from the waist down. So I was like, bang, on the floor. And she said, that is literally your body saying, do not go any further. And that is your nervous system saying you cannot do anymore. And that was it. Just wallowed in Selfpity for a few months after that.
But you listen to your body, right?
I listen to it a lot more now.
Yeah. It's how did you then bring yourself out of that self-pity?
So I've always sketched. It's always been a thing that not anything massively artistic, but just almost like you do. Like, remember in Argos, you used to get one of them papers and the little pens, and you used to draw like cubes. That's therapy for me.
Shadows and really cool.
Exactly. That's therapy for me. And I started to explore it again. I hadn't sketched in a long time, and I started to explore it again. And it was one of them things that I think my wife said one day, you always wanted to do that. Like, why don't you just get a job in that? And previously, if anyone even mentioned the thought of getting a job, I'd throw it back in their face. But actually, considering the circumstances, it sounded like a really good idea. Like, it's something that I wanted to do
as well, doesn't it, in that time?
Exactly. It was, I mean, I didn't do anything for months. Hardly left the house. It was dark.
Grew a beard, you know.
Exactly. So that was really difficult, and the only thing that really pulled me out of it is this idea of me being able to get paid for something that I was doing anyway for nothing.
So Danny&Co was born out of the Phoenix ashes, by the sounds of it.
I mean, if you want to put it like that.
Bit dramatic, but So
I prefer like the Sparta kick.
Oh, okay, bit of this is, what was it, 300 or 500? 300. The trilogy is 500, right? 3-part. So you came out your self-pity. You went and got a job, like you said. So you worked for a design agency, wasn't it?
Design and print agency. Actually, exactly what I wanted to do when I was 17. It's
funny how the world works.
Crazy. I remember getting the job and just being like,
these roots.
I remember getting the job actually. Actually, that's a good little story. So I obviously had no experience as a designer. So this was
when you were looking for a job.
I was like, how the hell am I going to get a job? I've got no experience apart from the sketches that I've been doing, like just nothing. So what I did was, there's a thing online for designers, usually design students use it, and it's called a 30-day challenge, and you sign up to it, and every day they send you an email for 30 days, and it's a real client brief. So you'll get like company name, what they want to do, the type of clients they deal with, And I would set a timer every day around my job seeking activity. And I would set a timer for an hour every day, and I'd design a logo. And because I wanted to kind of learn process and more about design, I'd record the screen. And every day I'd record it, shrink it to 30 seconds, and just post it online. And just a way of accountability, a little bit like what you're doing on this, like post it every day, little video, little description, job done. But it took, I think it took 13 days, or it was 8 or 13 days. I wrote an article on LinkedIn about it, but it was 8 or 13 days, and I had like 16 inbox messages asking for logos. I had like 3 job offers. I had people asking me like to work. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Did that then start contradicting your desire for the job though?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
And so I had to have a really good word with myself and say, like, what is going to be best for the long term? What's going to be best for now? And I decided to go from 110 grand to a 20 grand salary, literally like top of the world to minimum wage job, in a company, not working for myself. Oh, it's just the psychology behind like dealing with that kind of pressure. From a household point of view, from a personal
relationship.
There are so many conflicts in our brains when you go through something like that. And it just took me to go, just do it. Just like, what's the worst that can happen? Bothered. You're going to get, if I go self-employed, I've got to get clients, build it up, which I could have done. What I wanted to do is build something more, not just a freelancer. So
you already had that picture in your head.
Yeah. So I had to find out how that worked, what the process was, what I had to do, how you deal with clients. I knew all of that from a mortgage perspective, from a business perspective, but not in the creative world. It was different beast altogether. So I took one of the jobs, stayed there for a year. Clearly outgrew it very quickly. And that's where I remember
you taking that job, actually. I remember you joining that company. And then I feel like I blinked and a year had gone past. I didn't know you were there a year. I actually thought you were there way less than a year. And then I blink and Danny&Co has been launched. And that's what it feels like. But obviously that's actually more like a 2-year journey, really, from like that first day in the office almost to now today.
And actually, when you think about it, that whole journey of this kind of, that like diagram you put up about the entrepreneurial journey type thing, that whole journey that I went through, being top of the world, bottom of the bag, in the middle, all of that.
It's not, I'm rich, I'm not.
All of that happened within 18 months. So trying to get your head around, even thinking about it now is like, how?
But that just proves how much of a great support system you must have around you.
Oh yeah, like my wife is incredible when it comes to support. Like for the days like that were dark, like really dark, the one thing that would pick me up was my wife would literally come over my shoulder and be like, "It's just money." Who
just
cares?
on the screen.
Like we just go get money. Like it's not a problem. It would have been much worse if we had a child then, but luckily we didn't.
You saved that.
And our mentality at the time was, if we have to sleep in the car, that's actually not that bad.
Cool.
And we've got clothes and stuff. We can just eat.
I'm actually quite surprised you didn't end up in Japan.
Do you know, it's very funny you say that, because I've always said to my wife, Cal, if I just want you to know that if anything ever happens to us, you'll find me at the top of a mountain in a little village in Japan.
Joining the monks,
Oh yeah, 100%. If life literally fell on its arse, I'd be a monk in Japan in a mountain, picking rice or whatever.
Sounds good. What's that film where they do that and the monks have Skype? That's so random. It's actually it's a Simon Pegg film. Anyway, it's like How to Find Happiness or something like that. It's quite ironic. So you've now risen. You've done your 300 moment. You've kicked your old self back. You've risen from the ashes. Come using that analogy, whether you like it or not. And what's next, dude? What's coming up? What's this year bringing? What's this decade bringing for you?
Last year was funny. It was a funny year because half of it was me being employed, half of it was starting a studio. And I went through this patch of being really, really grateful that I basically get to trick people into paying me for something I'd do for free.
Yeah.
Which brings up a whole lot of different.
You're going to get a lot of client emails tomorrow.
Say again?
You're going to get a lot of client emails tomorrow now.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think it was Scott Lever that I said that to.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, cool. Looking forward to our meeting then."
Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah. Damn it. Yeah. So I've got to stop saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it brings up a whole lot of different thought patterns in your brain. So honestly, I've been so lucky to work with the brands that I have so far. And it's literally kept the business on a massive high for 6 months straight. Like, it's been amazing, the people I've worked with. Obviously some in the group, like Ben.
Yeah.
And now I'm very comfortable to the point where I can now start thinking about growth and other things, and trying to employment and what I want to do in for creative students and what I want to do for businesses. And there's a hell of a lot of clarity that happened in that 6 months of starting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, goals for this year, I've just bought out a new product, which is a content repurposing product, mainly for small businesses and coaches and consultants.
That launch now then?
Yeah, I didn't really do a launch. I just went with it.
Dude, why not? Sometimes if you got a good following, that's all you need.
Yeah, it was. I guess it's something that I did unofficially for a few clients.
Yeah.
For quite a while, actually. Since I was doing it while I was employed on the side, so for about a year maybe.
Yeah.
And then I thought I wanted to move into like a retainer model for design. But after consulting a bunch of clients, most of them were like, "We'd probably use it for social media."
Yeah.
Well, don't pay me a retainer, like a design retainer, all that money if you want low-level work.
Yeah.
Like, do it yourself, or I'll create something for you.
Yeah.
We'll create a content amplifier, and that's just it's for personal brands, basically, to take one video and turn it into 40 pieces of content plus every week. So that's a massive focus for me, especially for the first half of the year. I've got plans to build 4 brands. So the idea is that I build 4 brands in 4.
As in client brands, yeah.
Well, the idea is that I create 4 brands in 4 different industries.
Yeah.
Whether the client wants to do it or whether I just do it on my own makes absolutely no difference to me.
Fair enough. It's like it takes you back.
My priority is doing what I love.
Yeah.
And if there's someone as excited about those industries as I am, great. Let's like JV. Let's do something incredible. So I've picked some industries that I'm passionate about: coffee, CBD, beauty. Another one. Coffee, CBD, beauty, and
another one.
Yeah. So I've picked 4, and I thought, hey, I'll put a roll call out. If no one wants to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah. I think I gave you like 10 names when you asked me for those.
Oh yes, yeah, I did.
I was like,
I think I asked you that.
Boom.
Yeah. So that is the priority this year. I'm doing a bunch of speaking, and the only other thing is that I've had this kind of romantic thought of giving like replicating what I have for someone else. So giving 2 students in a creative field their dream job. And the idea of that is basically that I just allow them to create the job description.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a bunch of like guest lecturing at universities, and I've got 3 booked already. Just this week, mental.
Everyone's on it in January this year. It seems it's a bit.
Yeah, does everyone feel like buzzing? Because I feel like the last 3 days has been absolutely insane.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that it's the start of a decade, and it's given everyone a little bit of a reality check because they remembered where they were. It was the millennium, and they've gone, "Oh, I need to do more. I need to do more." And so everyone's gone boom on it.
Exactly.
I remember where I was I remember the millennium, and no one could get, it was when the texts were blocked because so many people were texting Happy New Year.
Can you remember that? God. Yeah, I'm just texting you an hour before, just in case the lines get blocked.
You would get it at like 2 a.m. when you're asleep. And it's like classic Nokia 3210 text noise. I think it is the fact that it's a new decade and people are just a lot more aware of what's going on and what they want to achieve.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the momentum as well is going to be incredible going forward.
Exactly.
People who pick up momentum now, they're going to have a great year.
Exactly. I mean, Founders365, just saying every single day. Can't not have momentum with that. But listen, very quickly, because I know you're on a time restraint. What are 3 things that anyone listening, perhaps a designer, very similar to yourself, what are 3 things that you can give them as advice to help them on their journey this decade?
Money, even though only because of the kind of story I've told, I guess. And there is a whole, the whole money doesn't buy happiness thing, and I get that actually it can.
So no, enabler.
But you've got to imagine that markets go like this, and you have to think about what your contingency is for your happiness and your health. If it does fall again, it's a bit of a weird thing to think about, but something I've just thought about in the past, and maybe it will be a bit of insight for someone. But me and you have seen a crash or whatever. Other people have seen 2 or 3. But if you're doing something and chasing the money, like I was with the contract I had in London, and shit hits the fan and the markets drop, you've got to think about what else you've got. Like when the money runs out, where are you going to be?
Yeah,
I know where I'll be. I'll still be sketching and drawing and creating logos and creating graphics. And
it's your foundation. Yeah,
it's and as long as you have that, I think you'll be okay. Because people smell it. Like, when you speak to people, you'd be surprised how many people just randomly comment to say, "God, you really love what you do."
Yeah.
Like, well, what's the alternative? Like, hate what I do?
God, I set up Danny&Co and I hate it.
So yeah, I think if you can spend some quality time on like self-discovery and trying to figure out what you really love to do, and either make it a hobby or make it a business, and remove the financial equation, it will give you a deep sense of happiness. Trust me on that. I know. So that's one thing. I guess, like, just don't. I'm an overthinker because I'm creative, but I've trained myself in certain situations to be completely black and white. So I think just don't worry about it. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
There is only who said it? It might be Gary Vee or someone, but there's only one person in the world that is less off than everyone else. Like there's someone at the bottom
Yeah.
that doesn't have what someone else has.
Mm.
And that person doesn't have what someone else. There's only one person at the bottom. Imagine who that person is.
Mm.
There's nothing really that can penetrate you, if you understand that.
Yeah, that's strong.
Yeah. Like there's nothing in the Western world, in the UK, the US, whatever.
Yeah. Life ain't that bad.
And it's that bad, really.
Yeah.
And understanding is really, really helpful, because it doesn't matter what happens then. And number 3, I guess it's just do what you love and don't worry about it. Like I've become so zen.
I was going to say hippie, but yeah, zen.
Yeah.
You need like a multicolored camper van, and you'll be like, do what you love, man. Just do what you love.
Show up in flower power.
Yeah. Live in the van after all. Live in the car. Sack it all off. Travel the world.
I mean, I thought my son's 10.5 months. He's still a baby. I'm thinking we've got 2 years till he goes to school.
Yeah.
Let's just pack up.
Perfect time to do that.
Yeah, I just thought but let's pack up. I can work from anywhere. It's likely that my team's like remote anyway. Who cares?
Yeah.
We've really thought about it.
Maybe this time next year we'll see Danny on the road.
Maybe. No, I pitched Starling Bank, and this would be interesting for you. I didn't pitch them, but basically I soft pitched them on one of their ads.
Yeah.
They said something like, where have you where do you think we should take the Starling Bank card next, or whatever?
Yeah, because they had that thing where you send a photo in or something.
Something like that. And I was like, I tell you, if you want to, I'll travel from Scotland, like Inverness to Land's End, using a Starling card and a camper van, and we'll film it, and then you'll have loads of content. And then I met the marketing.
Still waiting for that callback.
Well, I met the marketing director at the Great British Expos, and we had a bit of a chat, and she was like, we'll probably start with a case study first.
We'll probably do like one side of London to the other first.
Yeah. I was going to say we finish at Starling headquarters and have a little party or whatever.
Yeah.
Make it like a Forrest Gump style traveling thing.
Keep pitch them every week for that sort of thing. They're for it one day.
Oh yeah. But I thought of something then for the third thing. It's one thing that I've tried to get my head around recently, and I've worked with my mindset coach about, is around money. I know people have different mindsets around money, and it's something that I struggled with in the past, just because of my background growing up with parents that didn't have anything really. Leaving home very early. I left home at 13.
Wow.
And so my mindset around money was there was loads of blocks in place. If you can work on that, you'd be amazed the difference it will make.
Yeah.
You can speak to someone on a regular basis that understands, like neuro-linguistic programming and like money coaching and business coaching and growth strategies and stuff. If you can just speak to someone like that regularly, it doesn't have to be every week. It can be every month, every quarter, whatever it is. But if you can find someone like that, the clarity it gives you just to have someone there for, what's the word for it? Can't think of the word for it. But for that, just that little boost in confidence that you're doing okay.
It's like the soundboarding effect.
Say again?
It's like the soundboarding effect.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's amazing the thing that can do. It's so simple. Like the thought of it is so simple. Like you just talk at someone and then you get feedback based on what you said. But the impact that has is huge.
I have the same issue you do. It's like, how do people pay me for what I do when I'm just like dragging it out of their mind? They already know it. But it's a funny old world we live in with these sort of jobs that we've created.
We try and justify everything that we do.
Yeah.
and actually, you don't really, money's like a man-made thing.
Yeah.
And the only thing you're trying to do is make sure that the person with the money, you're providing equal or greater value than what they're giving you. That's it. And that's all you have to do. Nothing else.
And enjoy the process as much as possible.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And if you're not enjoying the process, take that as a massive hint that you should probably be looking at something else. Cool, Danny.
Yeah, that's a really hard conversation for me to have, because I feel like I'm a high horse. That like I'm guilty of it even with people I know that may not enjoy their jobs, or every now and again I'll put a post on Facebook and my wife would be like, babe, you can't put that because not everyone has found their thing like you, or like not everyone's happy with what they do for a job. Like, you can't impose that. I'm like, so
let's prod the fire. Why not?
Yeah. It's a real privilege to do what I do, and I don't take it for granted. And
you genuinely love it. It's so clear to see.
Yeah, like I can't even explain it to you in words. It's
the real test is the fact you're wearing a t-shirt with a font face on it. Like, that's the official I'm a designer uniform.
Yeah, this is the official design what the fuck I want to get away with it badge.
As soon as you got that on, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
A dot on a bit of paper and you go, oh.
See, do you know what the great thing is about being in branding and design? You can literally launch a product today.
Yeah.
This I created. There's a label in the back called Kern the World, and it was born out of a stupid idea that so basically kerning is like the space between letters.
Yeah.
You get like tracking and kerning. I won't go into the detail, but basically it was a metaphor for bringing the world closer together through shared beliefs and values.
Yeah.
So I Kern the World, which is just t-shirts with slogans on. But the money that we spend on the t-shirts, I would give to charity.
Yeah.
So that was my way of kind of giving back and bringing the world together.
Nice.
Yeah, just an idea, but I literally created it in 2 hours. I had like 12 t-shirts on there, a hat, all drop shipped. There's so many good stuff out there now. You can literally do it in seconds. It's amazing.
You got business in your pocket whenever you want it, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, Danny, listen, thank you so much for coming on to Founders365. Where can people find you? How can people connect with you?
Most places I'm at The Actual Danny. LinkedIn, Instagram. I think Facebook is The Actual Danny Matthews for my personal profile.
Yeah.
I don't use the page anymore. And Danny&Co.
Yeah, because it's Danny.co, isn't it?
It's Danny&Co.
Danny&Co, yeah. I knew it was something like that. But thank you so much for coming on. You've been fantastic. I've so enjoyed this. And for everyone else watching, subscribe, follow us, follow the journey. And thank you for tuning in. See you guys.